Hello everyone, back to tuning in to today's fourth and final video. We're going to have a look at the weather for 10 to 14 days for today's final video. Day 10 will take us to the 28th of February. Last day of the month, goodness gracious me, wow. And we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles, because maybe on trying a couple of weeks, we'll have a look at the CFS V2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks, and that will get us well into March, and I shall get on with that for you in a moment. Just to say about the first video today was 6 AM upload with release weekend forecast and also the ECM WF 42 days / 6 weeks look ahead. So check out those 2 vids if you know, 3 vids. What I'm talking about? Check out those 3 vids if you'd like to do that. And thank you so very much everybody for doing that. Right, okay, let's start off then with stratospheric warming developments. Here we go. So we had another slight tick up in the temperature at 10 HPA yesterday. So the black line shows where we've been, where we are. The temperature at 10 HPA. We're now very close to minus 10. Around minus 13, minus 12, something like that at 10 HPA. So I think that's about as high as it's going to get. I don't think it's going to get much higher than that. It might struggle ever slightly more than that, you know, but I don't think it'll get much higher than that. I think that's about peak. I go a little bit low down to 30 HPA. So warming continues there, and currently sitting at around minus 30. Well above the grey line, of course, way above the long-term trend. So this is the polar vortex status from Weather is Cool. And they're saying the SPV is currently weaker than all other years in the Era 5 record for today's date. So again, we have another date record for the weakness of the zonal wind. They say the zonal mean zonal wind at 10 HPA, 60 degrees north, is today at minus 14.8 ms. Weakest zonal wind at 10 HPA, 60 degrees north in the Era 5 record for today's date is minus 11.8 ms. So good gracious me, you know, it's a record breaker. This isn't it? It's only date records anyway. This is how things are currently looking with the zonal wind. So again, you can see that yes, the blue line has gone down to there, well below the 0 line. Of course, reversal of zonal winds has been sustained now for several days. Putting in the GFS, we can see that it's about as weak as zonal wind's going to get now. It will struggle up to go just about positive for a few days, you know, at the end of this coming week. Then it looks like we're going negative again the end of February and into early March. That's from the GFS. We can also confirm this with the ECM WF by University of Berlin, though. So this is the forecast from University of Berlin based on yesterday's ECM 12Z run. This is at 10 HPA. In the stratosphere at 240 hours. Day 10, remember it's generated last night, so that's the 27th of February, but back down to minus 5.2 ms there at 10 HPA. And interestingly, by day 10, we are very close to reversal at 30 HPA as well. So again, 27th of February, based on yesterday's ECM run. At that point, we've gone down to 0.2 ms. So close there to sending the zonal wind into reverse at 30 HPA with this second, you know, sort of double dip reversal. So you know, we've got the current reversal, and then going to pop up just a slightly positive. Then we've got another reversal coming. That second reversal, that might be the one that sends the zonal wind into reverse at 30 HPA as well. We'll perhaps know tomorrow when we get tomorrow's update at the University of Berlin whether that does indeed get the zonal wind into reverse at 30 HPA. Anyway, all looking very interesting. This is a major southern stratospheric warming that has taken place. Of course, we talked about this earlier on in the week, and we're waiting to see now what, if any, tropospheric response we get. Central temperature is updated to yesterday, to the 17th of February, sitting at 6.3, which is 2.5 degrees above average. But it's going to carry on rising until the middle of next week, and then it will start dropping as the weather gets colder into the end of the month. It will be a significantly milder than average February, however, following on from the milder than average January at 5.2, which was 1.5 degrees above average. Remember, December was colder than average, so when we average the winter, it is going to come out milder than average. This will be a mild average winter, not excessively so. December will offset things a little bit, but it is going to be a milder than average winter. But it's been a very, very strange winter. This is from Schreien. So this is showing the number of hard frost days, daily minimum temperatures, so like nights really, but daily minimum temperatures 2 degrees or lower in central England for this winter up to a few days ago. And look at this, you can see that actually this winter has had more hard frost, 2 degrees or lower, than any winter since 2010, 2011. That one just there. We did get, quite a frosty winter for 2020, 2021. That was just there. Barely any last winter, 21, 22. Barely any in 2019, 2020 either. These quite low. None in 2013, 14. It's been although this winter, nowhere near as cold overall as winter of 2010, 2011. The most number of hard frost for this winter since 2010, 2011. So a very, very strange winter, really contrasting, really conflicting winter. Lots of fighting going on within the atmosphere. And I think we did pick this out, within our winter forecast. We did sort of get close to this idea, I think, that we would have a contrasting and conflicting type winter. You'll notice this blue line up here, going to talk about that. That, of course, is the daddy of cold winters, 1963. Look how many hard frost there were during that winter, around 60, getting close to 60 days with minimum temperatures 2 degrees or more underneath the CT. So what a winter that was, wasn't it? You can see the mild winters there showing up at the end of the 1980s into the early 1990s. Remember, frosty nights sort of come back in the early 90s. Then they diminish again towards the mid-90s, and they come back for 95, 96, and whatnot. So yeah, very interesting. Thank you, Shryan, for sending mystery. You also noticed 1979 just there. That's the winter of discontent. That had a lot of very frosty nights contained within it as well. This also from Shrine. This is looking at the number of severe frost days. That's 5 degrees or more below average. Again, you see same story actually with that we have had the most severe frost, since the winter of 2010, 2011. Just there. Notice that a lot of the winters over the last decade or so have barely had any severe frost, 5 degrees or more below average. So this is a very notable winter, even though in the end it is going to come out a milder than average winter. So I think what this tells us is about, although overall it's mild average winter, it has been cold, and when cold at times, when it's been cold, it has been very cold. Been no messing about. When it's been cold, it's been proper cold, bitter cold, a lot of the time. Again, look how 1963, look how the daddy stands out there, with nearly 30 severe frost days, during that winter. And of course 1981-82 is just there, and we've got 1978-1979 just there. So actually in 1981-82 had more severe frost than 78-79, but of course 78-79 went on longer, whereas in winter of 1981-82 it's pretty much over by the 3rd or 4th week of January. Anyway, very, very interesting. Thank you so much to Shryan for the data there. What a interesting and unusual and rather bizarre winter it's been. We are coming towards the end of this meteorological winter now. Of course, that doesn't mean we can't have more cold weather, and in fact we are going to have some more cold weather next week, so more about that in a moment. Moving on, these are the GFS Shrine. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. We're looking at London today. Red line is a 30-year upper air temperature average for London, starting off significantly above average at the moment. You'll stay that way until middle of next week, but we have got a cold snap coming through the middle and second half next week. The upper air temperatures are dropping and it becomes cold. As we go into the opening days of March, maybe a little bit of a recovery of the upper air temperature then. However, there's a lot of scatter within that, so of course we've got mild on some areas up here, but I've got a few that are keeping things colder as well. So anything from around here onwards, which is like, you know, the beginning of March, you know, quite uncertain. So before that, very mild, and then getting colder is the main storyline. I think over the next week, 10 days, precipitation could be very dry as well through the next few days. Maybe getting a little bit more unsettled as we go into early March, but of course that is a long way off, and as ever is in the unreliable time frame. How is Snow Road looking? Well, actually, there are a few snow spikes appearing there. From around the 23rd to the 26th, 27th of February. Not that many of them, but there are a few. If we go a little bit further north to the Midlands, to Nottingham, there we see that we've got a few more of those snow spikes appearing. If we go further north than that to Blackburn, then we've got quite a few, actually. So the further north you go, as ever, or very often, the greater the chance you've got of perhaps seeing a little bit of snow later next week. Temperature anomalies on the 18th, 26th of February, going to be milder than average. The precipitation anomalies from the 18th, 26th of February going to be drier than normal. Away from far north Scotland, it's a bit more unsettled. Latest wind from that from Earth from nullschool.net shows that bringing mild westerly winds across England, Wales and Ireland today. Both Scotland with lighter winds is colder. These mild west-southwest winds will be getting in Scotland though through the course of tomorrow. Right, okay, let's start going for chart data. Let's have a latest you can make your room. It's looking for midnight on Tuesday, still mild with southwesterly winds, but by midnight Wednesday, cold front begins to push southeastwards. That brings a band of rain southwards and starts to introduce colder air from the northwest. So we're going to a cold northerly into the second half of next week. Becoming colder into the second half next week with a return of overnight frost and probably wintry showers in northern and eastern areas. Icon, again, looks mild for Tuesday, turns cooler though. Wednesday to Thursday, turns colder by Thursday into Friday. Though again, as we've been seeing with Icon over the past few days, less of a northerly when we get into the end of week, and so next weekend we're back under high pressure again, albeit that is a colder area of high pressure, and that would return us to overnight frost and fog, and you know, a little bit of a gruesome twosome there with Icon. Right, the GFS midnight run once more looks pretty mild on Tuesday, but on Wednesday, cold front pushes southeastwards, brings a band of rain, actually introducing cold air from north, and they're going to a northerly wind through Thursday and into Friday. We're looking cold there, Thursday to Friday, with winds bringing, northern winds bringing wintry showers to northern east areas, and a return of overnight frost. Now, it turns very different by next weekend, as the high pressure starts to reach up to Scandinavia, and wind turns into a northeasterly there. And actually, we start to bring an area of low pressure in across the south. We've been quite cold air, so it is possible this low, if it did start running in across the south with these east winds, might bring a wintry mix of rain, sleet and snow. It would depend on the exact parameters within the atmosphere with that. But certainly much more of an EC type influence and cold as a result with the GFS midnight run compared to Icon. Beyond that, the high pressure begins to go into retrogression, and I'm so sorry, but it starts to move towards Iceland and Greenland. And look what happens next. Well, that's the 4th of March on the GFS midnight run. We're so far out now, 348 hours, but a big blocking area of high pressure setting up around Greenland and Iceland, and a big old northerly is setting up. In fact, you would say that you can kind of hear the theme tune from Jaws there. a little bit, I think, with that cold air lurking to the north and the northeast. Check out the upper air temperatures. Look at all that cold air amassing. Dun, dun, dun. Look at that! Wow, wow, wow! I'm so sorry, everybody. Wow, wow, wow! Wind's turning to the north. Up north, it's some bitterly cold air. Plunges southwards there through the first week of March. Goodness gracious me! Look at that! We unleash the beasts from the north, and that would bring loads and loads of snow showers with it. I'm so sorry, everybody. Remember, this is like over 2 weeks away, though, so it probably won't verify. But after the big SSW that we've had, you never know. You never know. Maybe it will. But, yeah, a little bit of eye candy there from the GFS Midnight Run. Now, let's have a look at the precipitation-type forecast and weather outlook based on that GFS run. So here comes a cold front on Tuesday. That brings a band of rain with it and introduces these wintry showers into the north and the northwest, with both northwesterly to eventually northerly winds. By the time you get through to Thursday, most of the wintry showers are around coast there, so 1 or 2 running inland as well. So a bit of a wintry mix there, for example, through the Midlands on Thursday afternoon. You never know, maybe these wintry showers will be a little bit more widespread, but I think generally they're sort of confined to the coast. By next weekend, the wind is going into the northeast, and in comes that area of low pressure just to our south, and that's bringing light rain, sleet and snow to southern and eastern areas. So again, it's very marginal, but would depend on exactly what's happening in the atmosphere with the dew points and whatnot, but there is a little bit of wintry potential there as we come into the end of February on that GFS Midnight Run with that area of low pressure down to the south. Then it all sort of turns more towards rain as the air becomes milder, but just look what happens when we get into that northeasterly. Look at the snow into the north and the east there, really packing in with both snow showers. Of course, we're in the low res time frame now, so it's not picking up snow showers very well. But yeah, you know, that really is unleashing it through the first week of March. Very entertaining GFS Midnight Run. Now, GFS 6 then looks like this. So once again, we'll bring that cold front southeastwards on Wednesday. We're going to cold northerly into the second half of the week. Wintry showers possible in some places, certainly some overnight frost as well. Then the high pressure reaching up towards Scandinavia, winds going in that easterly direction. As we go into sunnier money, there's that area of low pressure over Germany there, 6 a.m. on Sunday. Excuse me, 6 a.m. Monday, 27th of February. That low has run across the south. Does that bring anything wintry? We'll have a look at precipitation time in a moment. Beyond that, it starts going milder and wetter and windier. So certainly no northerly blast and pinching from Jaws with the GFS 6 there in the extended. Have a look at the precipitation type forecast based on that GFS 6 run. Again, here comes that cold front. Southwards and eastwards on Wednesday. It introduces wintry showers into the north and the west through to Thursday. You notice wintry showers, particularly around coastal areas. 1 or 2, excuse me, might get inland. Then things go a bit drier away from the east coast. Anyway, maybe start to pull wind in from the east. And in comes that low. So that does produce some rain and also some snow, Sunday to Monday. So particularly for like Wales and Midlands, parts of northern England. Wow. Rain further south and east of that. But of course, this is all over a week away and probably won't verify in any case. But, you know, it's interesting, isn't it? TV charts beginning to reappear. Maybe I'll finally get to do a snow watch. It's been so long since I've done snow watch. Although we had all those, you know, hard and severe frost this winter, not much snow at all, has there been? So it's been such an odd winter, hasn't it? But hopefully I'll get to do a snow watch soon. And then beyond that, we're into that milder weather with everything coming in across the Atlantic. Right, moving on to the GM. Again, we find that on Tuesday, mild day, Wednesday turns cooler, Thursday, Friday looks quite cold, winds in from the north and from the northeast. Winds going to the east there by the time we get into next weekend with GEM. We've got an area of low pressure to our south. Again, that might bring something a little bit wintry with those easterly winds. And then by day 10, just turn wind into slightly less cold southeasterly. And then the ECM WF looks like this. Once more, we push that cold front through. Around the middle part of the week, it turns colder, but more anticyclonic influence with the ECM. High pressure more or less centered over the country. It's more like what Icon is doing. Less of a northerly initially, less of an easterly next weekend. It is cold though under that area of high pressure. There will be overnight frost, especially, you know, under the centre of the high pressure. We maintain those cold, frosty conditions into the early part of the following week. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10 from the Icelandic Met Office. Gets us to the 28th of February. 19 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure to our north and east, and so winds are coming in from like an easterly, southeasterly type direction with that. Certainly frost and fog, certainly gruesome to some with that. 11 with high pressure over like to the north again, that will bring frost and fog with it. Another 11 taking the high pressure just a little bit further north and slightly more of an easterly type influence. That's a bit colder. And then the coldest option, more in line with sort of the GFS and whatnot, is the 10 that we have down here with high pressure to the north, low pressure to the south, and winds coming in from a properly easterly direction with that, and so there is more wintry potential with that. And then 2 in time, these are the options that we've got. 18 gets us to the 5th of March, by the way. 18 members of the ECM ensembles with high pressure towards Greenland and Iceland, low pressure to our south and east. Winds will be coming in from potentially a cold north or northeasterly direction with that. Wow. Similar to how the GFS midnight run ends, maybe. 17 with high pressure over country, keeping frost and fog going. And then 16 with high pressure somewhere between Greenland and Norway, low pressure to our west and south. So despite the blocking to the north, we're probably relatively mild with that, with winds coming up from the south or the southeast. However, that could be a little bit of a battleground type scenario. Wherever battle lines get drawn, you know, there could be a little bit of wintry potential with that. Lastly, the CFSV2, these are 500 millibar height lines broken down into week periods. The first week period takes from the 18th, 24th of February. The coming week will have high pressure to the south, low pressure will be to the north, relatively mild until later on when it starts turning cooler. And then week 2 will be the 25th of February to the 3rd of March. High pressure goes north, winds go into the east. So could that start to bring colder air in from the east. And week 3 will be the 4th to the 10th of March with high pressure. Not that far from Iceland, main dry, probably quite cold. Winds could be coming in from the northeast with that. And then lastly, week 4 will be the 11th to the 17th of March with a mid-Atlantic ridge going up towards Greenland and Iceland. Low pressure across much of southern and eastern Europe. The winds could well be coming in from a cold northeasterly direction with that. So cold potential increasing in March with today's CFSV2 run. And we're done. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. And why not drop a comment? Let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. GavsWeatherVids, we need to put on around 63 subscribers to get ourselves to 15.6k. So if you could give us a sub, we will thank you so very much everybody for doing that. Right, just coming up tomorrow, at 6 a.m. upload, we're going to have the 7th and final spring update. That is ahead of a spring forecast being released next weekend. And if that wasn't enough, we are also going to have GavsWeatherVids Sunday Roundup. So we'll have the Sunday Roundup back for February this week, tomorrow, and that will be looking at things like solar activity, sea surface temperature, anomalies, QBO, AO, NAO, and of course a scenario for the next week, 10 days as well, and whatnot. So Sunday Roundup for February coming up tomorrow. You enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and for this video though, that's all for now, and thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.